creativity. It's like a machine. As long as it works, you take it for granted. But when it stops working, you want to make sure that you have the right tools to get it going again.
Hallå! Peter här. Standing in the Gothenburg archipelago. Highly recommend you to go here if you haven't been here. If you're planning on going to Sweden, Gothenburg is the place, not Stockholm. I'm not a huge fan of Stockholm. It's a nollottor och grejer, det är inte bra. I just want to start this video out by saying a huge thank you to DJI for sponsoring this video. And if you're here seeing me for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I really hope that you're pumped to learn how to use a gimbal, because we're gonna go through all the nitty-gritty stuff in this video. Shooting a travel sequence is something that I think is very challenging, but is also very fun, because you got to think of like the entire environment, all the details, all the textures that you can find that can make the video interesting and show it off the way that you see it to your audience. Something that I recommend you to do before you go out and shoot is to have some sort of shot list of the idea that you want to have in the sequence written down. There's a couple of different apps that I use, such as Notes and Google Docs, that I highly recommend you to try out. It doesn't have to be this super detailed written down shot list. It can just be like wide shot of a building, wide shot of me walking, and those kind of things, so that you have some sort of visualization of what you want to capture. When you're shooting any kind of travel video or anything similar, you want to make sure that you get the perfect lighting in your shots. And that is why I highly recommend you not to go out and shoot in midday, because that is when the sun is the harshest and your shots are not going to look cinematic and it's not going to have that professional feeling to it. So shooting at sunset or at sunrise is by far the best choice for you. But you can also shoot when it's cloudy weather outside, because then the clouds are gonna act like a super big softbox that will smoothen out all the shadows that you get in your shots. So sunset, sunrise, cloudy weather. So we're gonna try to get a couple of detailed shots of the ropes that is going to the boats and try to find all the things that sums up the entire Gothenburg vibe in my head. I think that looks nice when the rope is like this, and I want to have like a sailboat in the background of the shot so that we see that they are connected and it brings us like closer to the story. Because if I were to just shoot it like this, doing a simple push-in, I don't think it would add anything to the video that I'm making. But if we have the boat in the background, then we can seamlessly jump from this to a close-up of the boat. So I'm going to set the focus to manual, then I'm going to move out and I'm going to tap my screen and we're going to do a focus pull to the boat. I think that this is going to work. Slide, touch. Getting detailed shots of the environment is something that looks very good, but it has to be like combined with some wide shots and some sort of movement as well. And that is why I personally like to have a little bit of the wider lenses on my camera whenever I'm shooting with the gimbal, because I think it looks cool. I think it gives you this hero kind of feeling, and it's also allowing you to be more creative with the environment around you. When we were walking around trying to find some good locations here, I found this flag up on the house, and I wanted to make it look a little bit more interesting. Therefore, I choose this rock, or whatever you call this, as my foreground, because if I were to shoot this without any foreground, it would look really flat. But now, when we incorporate the foreground and move out from the foreground, like so, we have a nice revealing slider shot that we can incorporate into the entire sequence. It's very important when you're doing a shot like this that you're setting the manual focus on the subject that you want to have, and then move back behind the foreground and then move out slowly as you're sliding your gimbal out like this.
Like a ninja.
Trying to find creative angles isn't always easy, but for example, trying to find a way to shoot through subjects is going to make your videos more immersive, and you can use a couple of different techniques when you're doing that. You can either pan out like that and do a slide shot to reveal something that is behind. You can do a push in so that we go through the Swedish brygga, as we say here. Most of the shots that you're taking with the gimbal can also be done in reverse. For example, if you have trouble walking up, then you can start with the gimbal in this position and then walk with it slightly back, because when you get into post, then you can reverse it, but just make sure that there's no people walking backwards and that kind of stuff, because it might look weird. When you're walking around trying to find good frames, something that you can think of is how the background looks, but also how the foreground looks and how much movement that you can do to get the shot. I'm thinking that we're gonna go with the 24mm here and then slowly push in like this as we're doing some sort of like fake jib shot. So start from low and then end up high. So again, hold your gimbal close to your core and then move forward. At the same time, move it slightly upwards. And another thing that you can do when you're doing this kind of shot is that you can use the joystick as well, so that when you're moving forward, you can tilt the camera down and it's going to give you a way more dynamic shot, but this requires a lot of practice. Whenever you're using the gimbal and the joystick at the same time, try to be very, very subtle with the moves that you're doing, because you want to make sure that the joystick is moving the same kind of speed as you're moving the gimbal to make sure that the entire shot feels kind of seamless. Something that is very popular in these kind of travel sequences is having cool transitions. And cool transitions doesn't have to be hard. Like, some of them are actually very easy to do, such as the ones that we used in this video. The only thing that we did was that my subject was walking from one place and then walked behind the subject, and then we went to the new place and tried to find something with similar color and texture so that we could move the camera behind that and then start the recording and move out again. And then when we jump into the editing process, the only thing that we had to do was a hard cut in between, and then we'll have two clips that feels like a really nice, well thought out transition. And we used the same technique for the orbit shot as well, where we just moved into my subject's shirt and then moved back out from it, so that when we piece these two together, we have a nice orbit of us being in one place and then orbiting around Anton in a different place. When you're working with the gimbal in the outer range of your arms, everything's gonna get really heavy and you're also gonna start to shake. So what I try to do is that whenever I do a gimbal shot, I try to move my legs so that my upper body moves with me all the time. Because if you're doing like this, you're gonna have a lot of shake on your hands. So try to keep it close to your body as much as you can. Whenever you want to get some good shots with your gimbal and walk at the same time, you want to make sure that you're doing the ninja walk. And we've talked about this before, but it definitely is worth repeating because ninja walk is crucial as a filmmaker. What you want to do is that you want to get some good spänst in your legs, and then you walk heel to toe, like so. And the difference that it makes in the video is astounding, especially when you see someone walking with the gimbal and not doing the ninja walk, and then someone walking with the gimbal and doing the ninja walk. I mainly use manual focus when I'm shooting with a gimbal, unless there's a person in the shot, because when there's a person in a shot, I use IAF on my A7S III because it's so accurate so that I don't have to worry. But if you're using manual focus, then you want to make sure that you have the same distance to your subject at all times. Say for example that you are walking next to your subject and you're going to follow that person for a 5-second walk, then you will have to stay at the same distance of that person the entire time that you're shooting. So depending on what kind of camera that you have, you can use autofocus, but I highly recommend you use manual focus. If you are choosing to use autofocus on your camera, do use spot focus or zone focus so that you know where your camera is going to focus when you're getting the shot. Whenever I'm shooting these kind of gimbal shots, I try to stay in the PF mode, the pan follow, because it feels like this is the best for me for those kind of shots that I want to have, especially if you want to replicate the things that I did in this video. And yeah, I think that is it for me. And just want to say thank you so much for watching. Really hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please do give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well, because I would love to see you in the next video. Have a good one. Peter from Sweden, out.